Uncle Ron and stuff. Another short one today, and this is going to be about Ethernet and Ethernet extenders. Um, I think I've talked about it before in one of the previous episodes that when I moved into the house I'm in now, uh, there was a telephone Cat 5 cable literally run from a panel in the basement to every room in the house. It had a telephone in every possible location. But I don't need a telephone like that anymore because I use wireless handheld remotes. Okay, so I repurposed that Cat 5 cable to Ethernet use. Put Ethernet connectors on the end, and since they all terminated down here in the basement in one area, that's where the line that came in, I converted as that one went to the modem and then fed down here and then to an Ethernet switch. I could connect up multiple Ethernet lines that I use in the house. So I repurposed the Cat 5 cable that was in the house to Ethernet. Okay, and I said in the previous one, I don't care for Wi-Fi when it comes. I only use for Wi-Fi as portable devices like Apple products, cell phones. I don't like it for streaming anything. I don't like it. I don't like it. Period. I want Ethernet cable. Ethernet cable Cat5 will support 1 gigabit. Yeah, 1 gigabit a second transfer rate, and the highest you can get is maybe 600 megabits a second on the latest Wi-Fi standard, and that's always iffy. You don't ever achieve that really, and so I use the Cat 5 cable, and in some places there's a hotspot hanging off of it that gives me Wi-Fi ability for when people come to the house and they're just using their cell phones and they can tie in and make free telephone calls and check their internet and all that, and then they got a good strong signal. Okay, so from the basement, the modem has a cable all the way down here. Then I have a data switch here, and the longest run, one of the lines coming out of here goes probably 30, 40, 50 feet straight up. I have a 3-story home. Goes into the attic at 50, 40, 50 feet up there, and then goes across another at least 40 or 50 feet, and then down a wall and into a room. So it's over 100 feet run of that cable, and I'm sure it was no care was made in not running the telephone cable, right next to a 120 volt AC cable of some kind. They just run in the same hole. They run it parallel to the cable, so I'm sure there's a lot of interference. So I have this Ethernet, and that long cable, the longest run I have, there's a hotspot setting on it, and it has 3 different, the slow speed and 2 fast speeds that cover the top floor, so that people. I also have a hotspot on the second floor. I have a hotspot down here in the basement. All right, so that one that goes to the top floor, sometimes I'll lose connectivity to the internet through that hotspot. Now, it could be that the hotspot itself, the device is bad, or perhaps the channels it operates on are too close to some other channels in the neighborhood, or some other reason. And I thought perhaps one of the reasons may be that really long Cat 5 cable run, because it happens infrequently. I don't know. So anyway, I checked in and I wasn't aware, but they do make what's called um, Ethernet extenders. Now there's another thing called power over Ethernet, where you can, like if you have a remote camera someplace and it needs whatever voltage to run, and it's outside, and you don't want to have a separate power out there. Or like you had a big antenna up, a Wi-Fi antenna that you sometimes see about trailer parks and mobile homes, or maybe in resorts or something, that they run Ethernet cable there, and over that same cable they run the power that's needed to power that antenna or that device. That's known as power over Ethernet. Now I didn't need that. All I needed was I want to amplify the Ethernet signal coming out of my data switch and getting up to my hotspot. So looking around, here is what I found. This is known as an extender, an Ethernet extender. They come in pairs. You use one to amplify and send the signal up, and you have one at the other end of that Ethernet route cable that receives that signal and then sends it on to whatever device you have. In my case, it's a hotspot up there. So coming out of the data switch I have in the basement, I go into one of these. Out of this, I connect that cable that goes up to the long run, 100 and some foot long run. At the other end, I have another one of these. The cable comes out of the wall, it goes into this, and out of this goes to my hotspot, and it gets an amplified signal and hopefully some noise elimination to improve the quality of the signal I'm getting at that hotspot on the top floor. Okay, so they look like this. It's not a common device. I'm rather surprised. Of course, most Cat 5 installations are in industrial uses or in office uses, and they're probably not that long a run to start with, or they have some commercial grade extenders, or they use power over internet or something else. These are really intended for home use, non-commercial grade. They are made well. There's fully metallized thing. When I got these, there were two of them, and they came with no power adapters. It also came with an instruction booklet, which I've laid over here someplace on the corner, that tells you how to wire them, and that they did need 12 volts DC, 1 amp in the power supply hole right there. Okay. They are wired on the back. You could have put it in there, but 12 volt adapter on the front. So I did have two 12 volt 1 amp adapters, and I wired it up. Okay, and where is it? The one adapter came on fine, and I'll show you again. This is the manufacturer. It's A T little t N E capital D little c capital V and little H. And this is a model WG502F. There are not a lot of these around, and the price varies all over the place. I've seen them listed for $200. I got this one used off of eBay for like 39 bucks, okay, with no AC power adapters. As I said, I installed it. I knew I had done it correctly. The one up, the first one to really get powered up with everything set up was the hotspot at the other end, long end of the cable. And this particular unit, it has a LED on the front, red LED and two green ones. The red LED came on, and the green ones tickered and played like they normally do. Unfortunately, the one in the basement, setting right off of the switch, did not come on. The red light did not come on. I swapped power supply, wouldn't do it. Dead. So anyway, I'm talking about Ethernet extenders. One, that there are such things, and if you are having a problem with a long Ethernet run, you could look into Ethernet extenders. Not a ton of them available, which is bodes the question. You know, maybe most people don't run Ethernet at home, but anyway, you can, if you look, find Ethernet extenders, which are not intended for point over Ethernet power. Anyway, so the one in the basement didn't work. So anyway, I did uninstall it, and when I picked it up, I could hear something rattling around in it. So I took it apart, and it was relatively easy to take apart. And this circuit board just slides in this metal case. And lo and behold, when I looked at the circuit board, I'll show you a picture of it. What the deal is? This should be here, and what that is the top of the main chip on this circuit board. At the top and the heatsink came off of the chip. Now, that's really bizarre. I don't know how that happened, and I did look around on the board for some other sort of trauma. For instance, if they had somebody plugged in 110 volts or something like that to it, it would have zapped the circuit board. But I found no such trauma. I don't know the third piece. Anyway, there was no trauma on the board anywhere else. There was no burn marks. The capacitors that are on here were fine. So I got a refund on the extender. But I wanted to tell you that there is such things. The ones, most of them look like this. The price varies all over the place. They do not come with DC adapters. Some will say they do, but they absolutely do not. That it was meant that way that you could power them off of a 12-volt power supply if you were like in a commercial setting. Anyway, that's all I got for today. Repurposing Cat5 telephone cable for Ethernet use. And the problem where you have a really long run and you might want to amplify that, there are what's called extenders. Now, I think this is quoted as extending it up to 600 feet or something like that. That's probably wishy-washy and not true, but hopefully it would have, if it had worked, it may have given me a better, strong enough signal to keep that hotspot that's up there fully connected to the internet through my Ethernet system. And that's all I really use with hotspots, so hung here and there. But all the main computers are setting on a gigabit Ethernet interface. And I do get about 600 megabits per second download speed from Cox cable and about 60 megabits upload speed on Cox. That's it for today. This is the 23rd of February, 2026. And that's it for Uncle Ron's stuff today. I hope it helps somebody. It's coax, telephone cable repurpose, and the possibility of being able to amplify a very long Ethernet run in your system or home. That's it for today.